Hello and welcome to the Matthew Alton Art channel again. Those of you who follow the channel may have seen my short video that I did about a week ago, I think, something like that, saying that I was going to focus in February on fruit still lives and probably in oil paints, something that I haven't used for a little while. Again, those of you that follow the channel will know that I've been doing lots of sketching and charcoal and stuff recently, but I'm returning to oil paints and still lives. You can see that the still life that I'm doing today is a tangerine with the leaves and a stalk still attached. I thought they were quite photogenic when we got them. I took a photograph of it and I'm doing the still life painting from that photograph today. Well, you can see that I have drawn out the tangerine using pencil. I've used Arches Huile Paper, which I've used before to do oil paintings. It's special paper that allows you to paint with oils and the oil paints don't rot the fibres because they're specially coated. I also gessoed this piece of paper, which I don't normally do, to be fair, but I sometimes struggle with the absorbency of the Arches Huile Paper with the oil paints for the first layer. So I thought that might help, and I think it did slightly, so I'll probably do that again when I use the wheel paper again later in this challenge for February. You can see that I'm just blocking in the main colours here, so I've done the background, which is a slight mauve, as you can see, the grey of the mantelpiece that the orange is sitting on, and I'm just doing the orange with its base colour at this point. So the reason I'm doing a focus on fruit still lives in February is because I watch lots of YouTube videos myself to learn from other people, and everybody says that really to be successful and to get noticed by galleries and to increase sales, you need to work in series. So I thought I would try and start that this year in 2026, one of my plans for the year. And the first series is fruit because it's something that sells quite well for me when I go and do fairs and stuff like that. So start with what I know best. And I'm hoping to do 6 or 7 of these paintings in February. So let's see how we get on. But I've managed to make a start fairly early in February, so that's a good start. You can see that I'm using a long-handled brush to lean on. I don't know what the actual technical term is for a stick with a soft bit on the end that artists use to lean on. It means that you're not putting your hand in the wet paint. Works quite well, just a little small paintbrush for this size painting. The piece of paper is 20 by 20 centimeters roughly, so you can gauge the size of the painting. Using quite small brushes to try and get some of the detail in. Working wet in wet can be quite tricky sometimes with oil paints. Some people do the base layer like I have and then let it dry so that they can paint over the top of it without the paint lifting underneath. But you can also just do wet in wet like I'm doing here. You have to get used to it because it does mix sometimes with the colours underneath. You have to be careful you don't end up with a muddy painting with all of the colours mixing together if you're doing it wet and wet like I am. It was quite nice to return to oil paints. It's been a while since I've used them, as I said earlier on. I do like oils best, probably, but when I've been doing painting, I've been doing a lot of gouache, which I also like. I've been quite a fan of that because of its portability, its quick dryingness. You know, you don't have any issues with painting over the top with gouache because the layers dry really quickly. Whereas oil paints, of course, it takes a few days to dry enough to be able to paint over the top again. I was very much feeling my way a bit with this. I'm hoping that still lives will improve as I do them regularly over February. But this was the first one for a while, so bound to be a bit difficult. Just now trying to build the form of the orange, so doing the shadows. For the shadows I'm using red rather than orange, and the orange that I mixed was quite light colour, so the red works as a tonally darker colour. Raw sienna as well can be used to sort of indicate the turning of the orange away from the light. The photograph was a little difficult in that there was artificial light overhead and also daylight coming in from the left hand side, and that's why there's such blue in the shadow under the leaf on the wall, but I think I've successfully captured that quite well. The lighting from above was quite yellow. As I've said before, I'm not trying to be photorealist in my paintings. I want people to be able to see that it's a painting and that the brush strokes in it, but I want to get the feel of the subject and the lighting on the subject by using the right brush strokes and the right colours. Just trying to get that reflected light underneath the leaves. It's in shadow really from the above light, but it's a matter of getting the right colour, and I do succeed by the end. It takes a little bit of tinkering with it, but obviously this is sped up considerably, 1,000 times. I just tend to speed up my videos, but it's about an hour and 3/4 worth of painting here. And of course it took me a little while to draw out the tangerine before I started as well, so you can say 2 hours for the whole piece, I suppose. Now just trying to indicate the sort of scalloped, grooved edge of the mantelpiece, which takes a little while to get right actually. Deepening up that shadow underneath. It's sort of like a satin paint on the mantelpiece, so it's reflective but not too reflective, so you don't get strong highlights on it, but you can see dark reflections and stuff from the main subject. Just trying to highlight that leaf shadow there from the leaf that's dangling above. Using the big paintbrush again to lean on to try and get the straight lines of the mantelpiece edge. They really don't need to be too perfect really, because you don't want the eye to be focusing on the edge of the mantelpiece anyway really. It's the orange that is the subject here, the study of this painting. but they need to be good enough to read as what they are out of the corner of your eye as you're looking at the orange. Had a bit of a run there. Had too much thinners in my brush. But as you can see, you can dab it off and work back into the white area. A few finishing touches on the front leaf now, which sort of curves over and down towards us. Not too far off finishing, I think. And overall, considering it's been so long since I did oil paints, I was quite pleased with the outcome. This painting, along with the others that I do in this series of Fruit Still Lives, will be for sale in March. If you are interested in purchasing it, then do message me and I can reserve it for you, obviously. It'll be framed, obviously, in a black frame, I think, for this one, with the mantelpiece. I'm planning to set up a new website shop, I think, myself, using Shopify or similar, but there'll be more details about that when I do it, as I say, probably in March or April. I might submit this to an exhibition with the Leamington Studio Artists that's coming up in East Lodge as well. So if I do, I'll let you know and you can go and purchase it from there or see it if you're local. Well, this is the final painting. Overall, I'm quite pleased with it. You can see that I've removed the tape, so there's a nice crisp edge around the painting. As I say, it will be framed in a black frame, and I'm hoping that as I do these series of Fruit Still Lives, they're not all going to be oranges, but there will be some oranges because I've got some photo references taken of oranges already, but fruit anyway. I'm hoping that I'll improve as I go on through the month, so do keep checking back and seeing each one as I do it. Hopefully there'll be an improvement. Hopefully you'll pick up some tips if you're wanting to learn how to paint yourself. This is how I do it. I'm not saying I'm know everything about the painting at all, but it's the way that I do it. Well, thanks for your patience, and if you've got this far, thank you for taking the time to watch the video. Do subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet, and do give the video a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it. It'll help the algorithm. Okay, I will see you on the next one for Still Life number 2 of February Focus of Fruit. Bye.